is China. The relationship runs long for centuries. The resuscitation of this relationship only means that the present generations must start understanding each other, not only ideologically, but since the African economic space has been built on raw material production, that's our value to the West. We have not been anything more than just that the group of people are supplying raw materials. But we have learned that that kind of a model does not develop the continent. Instead, it has resulted in the migration of brains and resources, poor unemployment, and a depending economy that imports more than it is producing, hitting onto the GDP, and ultimately a country having to borrow lots of money to cater for the debts which we cannot pay. My coming here has been an eye-opener, and I wish to share the data and information with the people on mainland, but also with the Chinese community that is here. I come here as a cultural leader to help the Chinese community, those that want to invest in Africa. What are some of the cultural knowledge that they should have? A typical example where a Chinese person is given a piece of land, and the elders tell him, what you're looking for is here, but there are graves here of our ancestors, or it's a sacred forest, or there is something important that is to us. We've had to face situations where, out of ignorance or hurrying for profit, bones of our ancestors have been found and thrown into the river and grounded together with the gold and etc. People don't care. And this has actually started sparking resistance, anger, and pushback. We want the money, we want the investment, but not at this cost. So I come here to evaluate the cost of investment, balancing it off on the cultural intelligence and preservation of the environment where these minings are happening. I was with the ambassador a day or two before I came here, who categorically stated that most of the miners, particularly in Zimbabwe, in Zambia in particular, are coming there as private individuals. They are not even sanctioned by the Chinese government. Therefore, they're not responsible to anybody. And their destruction has been huge. If we don't attend to this boiling pot, we may begin to hear very soon, like we've already started seeing in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, and in Zambia, where the local communities are starting to become violent towards these investors, which is absolutely unnecessary. There must be a platform where conversations can take place in mutual beneficial, investment and preservation must go together. We have holes and holes that are just being dug in the country, and the Chinese are doing open cast. They dig here, they find what they want, they can't find it another 2-3 meters, they leave the holes, they run to another place, they dig again. In some certain cases, even silting up rivers, like in Mazoa in particular, and Shirugi, in sight also Merengwa, and where some of the activities are happening, even as far as Grue, in those mountains. I think it is this conversation that needs to start happening, so that money does not equal destruction, but development.
Understood. And in many of the contents which we've seen you put out there and the knowledge that you're imparting to the younger generations, you seem to emphasize connecting the wisdom of the past with modern ideologies a lot. CBBS also has a wide audience, a variety of attendees. What would you suggest for this platform to pave the way forward to bring these communities closer together, where the youth can also connect with resources of experience to improve their own strategies in terms of going forward?
The danger which is within the Gen Z and the young generation is that they want fast foods in terms of brain work. We want revolution, but we don't have a strategy. We want change, but we don't have policy. We want transformation, but we don't have a formula. I have specifically drafted a book for you entitled African Questions and African Solutions, where we identify the 9 areas of development that you will need to come to grips with as young people. Inclusive to that is governance, education, agriculture, business, economics, sports, recreation, entertainment, health, technology, ultimately spirituality. Now, you will need to put enough data and knowledge behind these structures and say, what was, like literally a 2-column chart. What was it like in the past? What is it? 3-column. What is it in the present? What will it be like in the future? Then you can literally populate that chart with 21 questions and 21 answers. Or 27 or 28 if you make them 9. 9 by 3, that gives you 27. So how did we govern ourselves in the past? How do we govern ourselves now? Where are we going into the future? What agriculture there? So that your development can now be aware of the past. Enough content and depth of where we are in the present. And a clear, projective future look as to where are we going. We can no longer be talking about typewriters in our generation. We've already gone past that. We're into computers and etc. So when you say, how do we keep records? In the past, we used to write on stones. How do we keep records now? We're putting them on clouds and etc. And in the future, maybe chips and etc. The question is, who owns all these value chains? And when we get to the future, how can we make use to translate what was there, what is here, and what is there? And I think this is a comprehensive outlook, knowledge base, which is both trinitarian, 3-tier understanding of past, present, and future, which will then give you a full encapsulated knowledge system, which is both historically accurate, present, contemporarily applicable, and futuristically objective, projecting into the horrors of tomorrow. And I think young people, you are more interested in changing today, and you ignore what was happening yesterday, and you seem to have a vague idea of what will this do to you tomorrow. And look at some of the civilizations that we have. They first tripped into putting concrete. Now they must go back again and start planting trees and putting shrubs on the things, but the equipment, the materials that they use might not work like this. So for me, it is this disjoint, where right now we're taking careers, even some of these careers which you guys are now doing. Unfortunately, I feel sorry for you. At the rate at which development is going right now, some of your careers will not be relevant. If you're still thinking you're going to be running a newspaper, like really? If you think you're going to be walking around taking news with a camera, like really? If you still think you're going to be opening a shop in the center of town waiting for people to come to you, people are moving into mobile, electronically based economy. And I think it is that understanding of what are the values, ethics of our past, what are the changes and transformations that are happening in the present, and as we move forward, how we're going to project and place ourselves into an active digital economy and still be relevant and be profitable.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And just as a conclusion, could you please share your wishes for CBBS?
CBBS has done a very good start. I wish the next one can, at the end of this conference, take a team that goes into Africa and identify the problems that are in Africa, speaking to the various governments on the continent, without necessarily saying much, and come here and find solution-based people, industries, factories, and private, public sectors who can offer those solutions. I wish the next year we can actually have a problem and solution conference where we came to your village, you have poor water there. Here are the solutions for water. We came to your village, there's no electricity. Here are the suppliers of generated electricity and solar panels and what and what. We came to your village, there's poor transportation. Here's the equipment that can actually reduce your distance and etc. We came here, we discovered, if you understand what I'm trying to say, the value and the cost of production of the house is at so much. We have technology that is cheaper than this. We notice that the cities are dirty and they're what. Use equipment that can reduce that and create those businesses. And the young men and business people who want to start buying these solutions and moving to the continent. To me, that's where CBS should be actually ultimately, where you're now not just a conference folder, projector-based conference where someone takes the pointer and they're putting on the wall. The problem is somewhere here, and they're pointing on a chart on the wall. The problem is not on the wall. The problem are real people. Problems are real people who are being affected. And I think my wish for this conference is that it can slightly, if not expediently, start moving from how do we connect problems and solutions.
In that regard, this community that is based here will play a very important role.
You are all millionaires who don't know it. The information and knowledge that you have of where what can be found, if that can be put in the hands of the correct government and private sectors in the country,
Yes.
you may not even need to come there. You may just need to know the city of Harare right now is peddling with rubble removal, for example, and making plastics and making paving out of them, or creating products with the raw material or refuse that is there. So get in touch with someone who is there who can actually say, let's get business done. If it is hard forms for house construction, all these nice videos we see about China, they're coming up with those innovative, I mean, I'm interested even in these remote control toilets that I find here. Imagine putting all this on our airports and on our public services, government buildings that are dirty, toilets are not being flushed properly. Why will we not get that solution and place it where people can access it and solve problems? So to me, technology is not just technology of the clouds. Technology is what problem are you solving? And the problem you are solving, is it a priority problem? So real problems that we are looking at is if it is clothing, if it is food, if it is pharmaceuticals, if it is accommodation, if it is poor service delivery, infrastructure development, if it is sicknesses, if it is disease. The question is, how do we make our technologies relevant to the present problems? Even small problems such as just fixing potholes. Just potholes. We hear it on Facebook everywhere. We have lots of potholes. Can we find a solution for fixing potholes? What technologies can we buy, acquire, develop, and go back to Africa and literally put it on the ground and get the problem solved? So our problem right now is not going to the moon. We don't care about Elon Musk trying to go to Mars and then moving people there. That's not the priority right now. The priority is people sleeping on hungry stomachs and mosquitoes that are harassing us, and flooded rivers, children drowning in rivers, dirty waters, cyanide. And some of it has been caused by some of the Chinese companies that have allowed cyanide from their plants to spill into the rivers. From the rivers, it has now gone into the dams, and the dams are pumping water into the city. People are dying of cyanide. As I can give you an example right now of Chivero Dam, which is supplying Harare. It is a contaminated dam with cyanide and sewage and everything else. The question is, we've created a problem. Can we find a solution of fixing that problem as an expedient problem? Then I need to give you the number of the mayor immediately and say we have a solution around getting this water clean so that people can live. If more than 2, 3, 4 million people that are depending on that. So to me, that is real development. And what we are saying has figures and people that are on the streets that can confirm it. In Kitwe, with the whole plant spilled water into the rivers of Kafue. We're just waiting for the disasters to happen around the Kafue Valley. And as that cyanide is beginning to move further down, of course the government says, no, it's spilled in, but the water is within acceptable drinkable standards. You tell me that the water is cyanide is unacceptable, unacceptable. You're saying the results are not immediate. But in the long term, you have already caused the pollution, and pollution will have a detrimental impact on that environment. Look at the whole ecology of life. So we're not here to be dealing with mild or drastic or manageable or unmanageable poison consumption of the African. That's not right. That's not right. So we have development that is happening, but development is coming with problems. Your involvement is how do you begin to walk behind this huge sage of development with solutions and fixing some of the problems so that the relationships can remain as amicable and user-friendly. We wish Gonzo can adopt some of the cities in Africa and duplicate hospitals, share skills, materials, labor. We must marry from here, they must marry from there. We must become one big nation that is going towards common interest.
I hope that the people listening to this will not only think about the suggestions you have given us, but will be proactive in implementing that. And thank you so much, Mr. Maponga.
And for Gonzo, what I can actually suggest, we need a direct flight from here into Central or Southern Africa to increase tourism. To be interesting to see you living in such jungle of concrete, to fly into a place where there is so much space of plants and animals. And for me to come here, to go through Ethiopia and do connecting flights, but I think that if we can have a nice, beautiful direct flight between here and Gonzo, and Zimbabwe or Zambia or any country of your choice, and allow tourism both in and out of these regions. It will be very beneficial to all parties.
Taliboa hahulun tate kimutu kabatu.
How, kewale o hawanes. Ahobe jwa. Hozo!
Maita bahasa. Sinotenta. Siyabonga kakhulu.
This is how I think. This is how I feel. And this is how I do. That is our mantra at Farmers of Thought. Correct thinking. Think well. Just simple like that. Think well. Populate your mind with good content. Fill up your brains with good ideas. Don't waste your time. I hate this one. I hate. I don't like. Hey, wait, you're gonna die. You deal with them when you're dead. When you're still alive, think positive. Populate your mind with good ideas. Feel good about other people. Feel good about the business environment, the political environment, cultural challenges. See something good in people, in yourself, in your environment. That's the space of your mind. Secondly, develop a good emotional attachment to things. Love good things. There's nothing wrong. Love good things. Many people who are sick, they start getting sick here. They nest wrong emotions. And before they notice it, scientists, they can tell you, you begin excreting all sorts of wrong hormones that cause other problems. No. Come on, your problem is here. It's not over there on a graph. It's how you feel. Feel well about you. Speak nicely to yourself. Positive self-talk. You can find one of the books that I wrote entitled So You Want to Be the Master. Before you can master other people, master yourself. So, head space, think well. Heart space, feel well. Head space, do well. Do well. Don't just think about it and feel about it. Do about it. And I think when I come to this conference, I'm excited to notice this is not just an organization where people have been thinking. It's not an organization where they've just been emotional. But finally we are here on the last phase of this organization where we are going to start doing something about Africa-China business relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to become a lecturer for some few moments. A job which I am trained and qualified for, and I want us to go through it very briefly and intensely. You will find the rest of the information in the book entitled African Questions, African Solutions, which I wrote. Is available on Amazon and all other media platforms. But I want us to look at the DNA. How do you build an empire? How do you build an empire? We are here because other people have built these huge infrastructures that we're looking at. We are coming out of the British oppression and the neo-colonialistic environments where other people have built their empires on us, with us. And we have become slaves in our own homesteads. But there's a science to colonizing people. There's a science to oppressing people. There's a science in building a system which survives years after you are gone. Cecil John Rhodes is dead. David Livingstone is dead. Verwoerd is dead. But the systems that they put in place are still working. How will Africa think of building an empire if we are not thinking of building systems? I'll give you the 7 pillars of those systems. System number 1, how are we going to govern ourselves? Governance is number 1. On governance, we're looking at putting systems of power, regulations, military, security. How do we want to rule ourselves? I'm so glad to say this from China. China does not have as many churches as Africa does. Instead of churches, they have factories. So it's true that you don't need too much Jesus in the system as you need factories. You can't be stupid as an African to come here to fundraise to build a church back home. There's something wrong in your head. You cannot buy a factory and then call members to come and pray for employment when you are in a factory that you have just purchased. You need to understand that spirituality can be practiced best when people have eaten and they are full. When you start off with churches, hoping that you are going to end up with employment, you will all become prayer warriors. It does not work like that. So number one is building and establishing governance systems. And when you are doing that, please benchmark the top 10 most successful countries in the world. Find out what is their recipe and where is Jesus in their picture. Japan, North Korea, China, Europe, and find out Sweden. Find out in terms of their priorities and find out the poorest nations in the world. What are their priorities? Prayers, fasting, conferences, breakthrough conferences. You know what I'm talking about, good people. Don't try to look religious here. Breakthrough, they always pray. And how do you know that they are really poor when they start importing American evangelists? Then you know they are on steroids now. They will have all-night prayers and lots of lights. And this thing, I wish I can run Africa just for 1 week. The first thing, I'll close all the churches and make them into factories and industries. So governance is number one. Next to governance, you need to find out how are you going to deal with agriculture. Not just agriculture, but agriculture. Agree with our culture, the culture of food. There's no way you can build an empire that is borrowing food from next door. How are you going to feed yourselves? Automatically you go there, we are touching a very sensitive note on GMO foods, the Monsantos, and all these dead foods that the West is dumping onto Africa. And I love China. They are good on organic, indigenous food. Food, not food security, that's for poverty. Food sustainability. Plant food that can sustain itself, that can duplicate and recreate itself. This whole thing of we are sending maize to Africa, we are sending maize, too much diabetes. That food is not food, man. That in America they do maize to feed animals. Then why are they sending it to Africa? And by the way, maize just came to Africa the last 110 years ago. So it's not our staple food. With our different kind of coin, let's find those organic indigenous foods, remembering that he who feeds you will rule you. You can't talk too much when the spoon of food is in the hands of another man. You have to be very nice to them because they may just stop giving you food. You need independence when it comes to food. Governance. Number two, agriculture, the culture of food, not just eating food. How is it prepared? How is it powdered? How is it planted? How is it harvested? Why are women putting seeds underneath their tongues before they put them in the ground? What is the DNA of food? And etc. That whole culture has been lost with commercial farming. And I think one of the worst things Africa has done is to commercialize farming and remove women from farming. Because it is women who actually had the DNA of food. Because it is from their hands that families would eat. Number three, education. Don't learn too much about other people. Learn more about yourself. That's how empires are built. Julius Caesar, you see him. Charlemagne, you see him. Genghis Khan, you see him. Anyone who has walked this path and have been able to educate people about themselves, they write their names on the annals of history. You cannot be said you are an empire who is memorizing William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, no longer it is. Dost thou sayest, my lord, will you go hunt? You don't build an empire on borrowed language. Start learning, not about them. Start learning more about yourselves. Education. You can't memorize how many capital cities are in the world, and then that's an examination. And when you have remembered the capital city of Angola, Luanda, the capital city of Kinshasa, Addis Ababa, then you say, oh, you're educated. Like, really? Memorizing capital cities and names of presidents of countries. then you are educated. Come on, you can do better than that. Like a country like Zimbabwe, for example, you have 482 minerals that are underneath your ground, which your students don't know. You're only talking about the first 62. And you go to school, the very stones we're using for throwing on animals, they are rare earth minerals, and we still don't know. And all of us have been to school, even hiding in China here, when your grandmother's field is sitting on top of a uranium mine, that you don't know.
Well, we go straight.
Thank you very much. See, they do some leather there. You don't think they matter there?
Leather shoes? Oh, we'll go upstairs.
Stand up there.
Upstairs. Okay, let's use this way.
It's very inspiring. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's really nice to see. I see your videos and your philosophy, and it's very interesting. I'm so happy to see
Are you seeing any business opportunities around here?
Well, I do honey anyway. That's what I'm a beekeeper, so it's my first time to come here. Yes, can I take a picture of you? Oh my God! I see everything that you say and everything that you do. It's really amazing.
Yeah, many can help you.
I can help you.
I'm just fascinated right now. Honestly, one of the most courageous people that I know.
你好.
I'm so happy. I can't believe it.
No, I didn't know.
I know, right?
All the places.
Yes. Wow. I'm so happy.
We are here in Gonzo,
Yes.
all the way from Zambia.
Yes.
Have a nice one.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Ah, yes. Yes.
You want to take a photo?
Sorry.
Come. Come.
大叔你来啊？
他真的是大明星啊！你叫他过来找我们买牛仔裤了。
买什么？
买牛仔裤。
再不穿哪一种？我给你看，你再穿。哎，要拍一个照吗？
That is a boat. This one is a legend. I know. I even showed them.
Mama Africa. You're from Africa? Morocco. Oh.
That's why it's free.
I was there with Duncan. Yeah, with a beautiful.
Hi. How are you? Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, man.
Let's do some spinning here.
Okay, see you soon.
I'm sorry.
I'm from Ghana. I'm Quincy. Get the one that makes cloth. Those are not than the rest.
religion has crippled people's mind. I tell you,
The rest can go.
路口左转，随后右转到广元西路辅路。前方红绿灯路口过马路右转到广元西路辅路。
When you see it in your mind, I arrived yesterday was the first time. We learn together, see each other and grow. Nice to meet you, gentlemen.
Nice meeting you.
Good day. Wonderful.
We love you. Keep what you're doing. Keep giving the facts. Yeah. Because as religion has crippled many people's minds. Destroyed them. Yeah. See, China is free of religion. Everyone is progressing. But in Africa, that's not the case. Everyone
They
thinks.
pray.
Everyone says we are going to heaven. And that heaven has
2,000 years waiting for him. And the Chinese have built this in 30 years.
Yes.
30 years. You, for 2,000 years, still waiting. No, pleasure to meet you. Colonized and even China. Ideas.
Thank you, Africa. Mama Africa, oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.